was an undergraduate student at the University of Kent doing European studies in 1989 when the Berlin Wall came down, and I was suddenly faced with the prospect of studying European integration at a time of quite momentous change in Europe, and I think that just got me hooked. And then the opportunity came up to do some research, and I took that and began working on the European Union's external relations and the development of its relations with the countries of Central and Eastern Europe. At the same time, there was a lot of change in Europe in terms of the development of European integration, and a whole series of treaties started to be negotiated, and I found myself working on those as well, looking into the dynamics behind the various treaty changes. My two main areas of expertise are EU treaty reform and EU enlargement. On treaty reform, what I'm particularly interested in is the way in which the EU has adopted various treaties over time, notably Maastricht, Amsterdam, Nice, more recently Lisbon, and looking at the dynamics behind it, what motivates the EU to introduce those new treaties, what is the decision-making process behind them, what explains particular outcomes, and also what are the implications of this for the development of European integration. The second area is EU enlargement, and there I've always been interested in the way in which the EU enlarges to admit new members. The period I spent in the Foreign Office followed a number of years in which I was in contact with people there. Then we had a change of government in the UK, and a new bill was going to go through Parliament, and the Foreign Office decided that they needed to boost what they call their institutional memory on European affairs, and I was approached to go and work on a secondment where I was essentially drafted in initially for 6 months, turned into 9 months to assist them on developing positions and addressing various issues of concern to them, particularly regarding this EU bill which was going through Parliament. Well, needless to say, it was fascinating me on the inside of policy making. The day-to-day role, well, it could involve a whole variety of things. You could be advising desk officers on particular pieces of policy, you could be commenting on drafts of speeches, you could be informing think pieces on what sort of policy options there might be. It varied enormously. Politics moves obviously very quickly. Ideas, arguments of the day often lack the sort of the background understanding of particular issues, and I think one of the key roles that research analysts play is to provide that context, provide that deeper understanding, that background. The time in the Foreign Office provided me a whole series of insights into policy making. We can read as many books as we like. You cannot really get a firm understanding of the process unless you actually experience it at first hand. So I can bring insights into how policy works, how decision-making processes work within the European Union. As far as students are concerned, I say, once again, there's the insights that brings. I think it's also that you can try, through those insights, to bring the subject to life a little bit more. And also, you obviously have contacts, which in terms of research are very important. For me, the areas of interest continue to be enlargement and treaty reform. There's obviously the ongoing crisis of the Eurozone, which has brought about one new treaty. There's plenty of discussions around about whether there should be further treaties, further European integration, particularly for the Eurozone. And then you've got the position of the UK, the announcement by David Cameron that he wants a new settlement of the UK's relationship with the EU means to say that the whole issue of UK's future in Europe is going to remain on the agenda. And we've got the prospect of a referendum as well. Plenty of things to be thinking about and potentially contributing to in terms of public debate.